But I will start very briefly with an overview of our document on the way forward. And this is work that we've been doing with UNICEF and the Office of the SRSG to really think, following Bogota, how can we move in terms of action, in terms of accountability and advocacy? And this document will be available on the new website, which should be up by mid next week at the latest, we think, yeah. So in terms of action, of course, that's where the rubber hits the road, and we're really hoping that we can strengthen the work at a national level in 5 areas. First of all, strengthening the multi-sectoral agenda, really making sure that the key sectors, health, education, social services, justice, finance, are sitting around the table. Continue to strengthen the data and research generation. Continue to strengthen national legislation, policies and budgets, capacity and engagement of civil society groups, including children, youth, and survivors. This point number 5, I just want to stress it because it would be quite new. If, imagine, in all the countries that we've made a pledge, we would have a group that brings together the children, the young people, and the civil society and the survivors alongside civil society to make sure that they're pushing for the pledge, understanding the pledge, having the conversations with the governments about the pledges. So I think the first 4, they're very much linked to the child protection system work also that we've seen that was launched in Bogota. But the 5th one is going to be very important that we really come together intentionally to set up these groups of children, young people, and survivors alongside the existing civil society movement. Then in terms of accountability, and I'll jump onto the website after, you'll see that we'll have a dashboard, which will have 2 components. One reviews the pledges by topics. You can do search by, for example, parenting or by online violence, and then you can see all the pledges that come out on that topic. And we'll have a one-stop shop for countries. So you'll see the pledge, you'll see the CRC recommendations to that country, and then key links around prevalence data, around what's coming out from the global status report, what's coming out from disrupting harm around the online space. So you'll see these one-stop shops. You're probably thinking like us, oh my God, that's going to be so much work, but it is going to be a lot of work. But we really feel that we need this kind of one place where you can find everything you need.
Señora, ¿qué tal? Buen día. Dale, en un ratito lo miro bien.
Oh, yeah, thanks. So I'll continue. The accountability work obviously doesn't stop at the website. We'll be really engaging in a lot of work with the CRC here in Geneva, with the Out of Shadows Index, the Global Status Report, to make sure that we're actually understanding what's going on in different countries so that we can then, if you look at the next point, work with the existing communities of practice on key topics like parenting, like school interventions, health, online violence, corporal punishment, to help push forward at a country level, but also at a topic level. So quite ambitious in terms of our accountability, but we really feel that it's feasible in 2025 to move this forward. And then lastly, we'll continue to work a lot on the advocacy, making sure that we're linking level advocacy to global level advocacy. ISPCAN will be, I think they presented last time, will be organizing national policy fora. They're called the Rise Up Policy Forum, where they're going to be at national level discussing the progress of the pledges. There'll be media mobilization. We're going to continue to try bring together unexpected leaders in the field, so celebrities as well, and continue to organize these town halls and major moments in 2025. So action, accountability, and advocacy, we'll be doing it hand in hand with UNICEF and the SRSG. These are some of our key moments that we're already looking at. Launching the pledging platform next week, World Health Assembly, the UNCRC in June, UNICEF Executive Board meeting, and the voluntary national reviews. WHO committee meetings, we'll also be trying to influence those, and then the ISPCAN Rise Up policy forums, which, as we said, will be regular. We'll also have a newsletter that will come out 4 times a year. We don't want to overwhelm people with newsletters, but again, please send anything to us that you would like the world to know about so that we can get it out there. So that's it, really more of a call to you to send us stuff that you think should be part of the action, accountability, and advocacy work, and through the newsletter to make sure that we're really doing justice to everything that happened in Bogota. Back to you, Helen.
Thanks so much, Sabine. I'll pause for a moment to see if there are any questions. And I think just to reiterate that point that, you know, we achieve more by working together than we do separately. So I think when we're really focused on accountability and delivery, we want to be as aligned as we can. So to the extent that it's possible, if we're aware of kind of major accountability efforts going on across the sector, and we can have this linked through, then I think we're going to be much more impactful. And also thinking of our target audiences, it's more impressive and likely to be more successful with member states if we've got an aligned approach in terms of accountability and follow-up. Sabine flagged there that we are planning for a major moment at the 1-year anniversary of the ministerial conference, and would hope that by then we're also able to announce who the host of the second ministerial conference on ending violence against children will be. So there's lots of efforts underway to make sure that that moment is as impactful as it can be, and we'd love to work with this network in the coming weeks and months to start to shape that up. Any questions for Sabine on that document? Nankali asked a question around whether there would be linkages, Sabine, from the website into the UNICEF and WHO databases on VAC. I don't know if you want to cover that now, or if you, oh, sorry, Nankali, you had your hand up, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Okay, so yes, I had that as the first question. And then secondly is in the list of things that have been shared as a follow-up, I might have missed that. I'm not hearing much of activities linked to member states, integration into member states, governance mechanisms, activities with them so that they're actually owning it. Otherwise, it will carry on being an external agenda driven by UN agencies. Thank you.
Thank you. Why don't I try answer those, Helen, and I'll take Nankadi's second question first. Of course, that's the most important. So Pablo should be online, and he'll be talking about some of the post-Bogota work that we're doing with member states. So it's a combination of in each region, bringing together the pathfinding countries for them to come together to see what it means to be part of the pathfinding movement and to see how they can strengthen the pathfinding movement. And also post-Bogota. So I think in the Americas, there's already been a meeting of post-Bogota. In Europe, there's been a meeting of pathfinding states, but not yet post-Bogota. So that's not all the European states. I think EMRO, Middle East, is happening in early May. Africa is happening, I think, next week. So yes, basically the answer, Nankali, is absolute yes. They're the most important because they're the ones that made the pledges. So alongside those meetings and working with the CRC and the UPR and the voluntary national reviews, we're working very intensely on tracking those country and working really, it's not tracking. I don't want to say we're, it's not a carrot or a stick either. It's really in conversation with them to see how we can build and showcase what they're doing. Then your second question about the website, yeah, it's a good segue, Helen, if you don't mind, I'll just jump straight into the website. We're having country pages where you'll see the pledge and then the CRC recommendations and then links to the UNICEF, many of the UNICEF dashboards, so specifically for the countries. So if you're looking at the Philippines, you see their pledge, the CRC recommendations, and then you see the UNICEF data, prevalence data, UNICEF data on child marriage, UNICEF, a lot of the different UNICEF data, and then also the WHO data, and then the disruptive harm data in Philippines, for example. So yeah, that's the short of it. Does that answer your question, Ankali? Yeah.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Okay. So I'm going to, Helen, hope you don't mind. I'm going to dive straight into the website, and I don't want to show you the whole website because it's not finalized yet. But I just you'll see that the look and feel is slightly different because we're of course we're still focusing completely on the ministerial conference and the next ministerial conference, but you see at the top right there's basically a tab with the previous ministerial conference, all the information. We don't want to lose that institutional space. However, what we do want to do is, in addition to it focusing on the ministerial conference, we wanted to focus very much on the pledges. And so this will be the, I would say the main dish is everything around the pledges and the country commitments. But this is all still being sorted out in terms of how it should look and how much information we want to put up there so that it's readable. My question to you now is, there will be two sections, one on news and one on events. And we've put some example here of news blurbs. So for example, the Thailand banned corporal punishment last week, which Bess is going to talk about. A piece on climate change and violence against children, another piece on childhood trauma. And so these are the kind of news blurbs that we would really like to keep there so that it's interesting and that people will keep coming back to it. So please don't hesitate to send us the news blurbs. And similarly, we have an events calendar. Right now, you'll see some of the events that I mentioned. Unfortunately, if you click on the Learn More, there's not additional information, but you'll see, so this is April, May. Again, if you have important events that you think the world should know about, we really a call to asking for you to send them over to us. I don't know if Cassia is online, or Helen or Cassia, if I'm missing anything on the website. Otherwise, open for questions as well.
No, that's basically it, Sabine. I'm here. Yeah, so the website, other than that, will also have a section on the call to action. And we really want it to be a live and dynamic website. So it would be really helpful to receive from all of you information, news, and also events that you may be organizing. You can send it to my email, and I'll just share my email on the chat right now. Thank you.
John, I see your hand up. You can speak up if you like. And Aviwe.
Thanks, Sabine. I saw this is branded by WHO, UNICEF, and UN Special Representative. Is it managed by WHO? So I mean, basically, hopefully, it's only managed by one of you, because that will very quickly become a nightmare of coordination. So just to clarify, if there's news to be reported, how should it be delivered? How should it all be submitted?
Mentioned, John, thanks for that. So we have regular meetings with the three agencies to then agree what we want in, what we don't want in. So WHO is managing it, but in close collaboration with UNICEF and SRSG. So Cassia will be the person to receive the information, and then when we have our weekly meetings, we'll decide what goes up and what doesn't.
Brilliant, thanks.
Cassie's just added her contact details in the chat. So folks have items for the news section, or in fact also for the calendar of events, and you can contact Cassia directly, and we can add those into the mix. I think we had Aviwe and Sarah, and I think Pragati, but her hand seems to have popped down.
Yeah, thank you so much. It is so good to see all of you once again. I just wanted to find out, I joined the meeting a little late due to tech issues. Can I confirm, do we have a date in place for this year's ministerial, and then date, location? And then when we're talking about the news section in the website or events, are those particularly events that are lead-up events like we did last year? Or can there be other advocacy events that speak to the topic?
I can take those if you like, Sabine, unless you want to answer them. So just for clarity, unless there's something we don't know about, to our knowledge, there will be no global ministerial conference on ending violence against children this year, 2025. The hope and expectation and anticipation that there will be a second ministerial conference on ending violence against children, but that would likely either be Q4 2026 or perhaps Q1 27. But just for clarity, Aviwe and anyone else on the call, we're not anticipating that there will be a global ministerial conference this year on ending violence against children, for many reasons, in terms of accountability, delivery, and frankly, just the whole process that sits behind the creation of and the implementation of pledges. To your point about the calendar. No, that's okay. That's okay. But we're actively working on it. So hopefully some news shortly on that front. Your point on the calendar of events, that calendar of events is very much any events that are being worked on in this space that you feel it would be important to be flagging up to the sector. And if they feel like priority moments, we can pop them on there, and then we'll have a kind of contact or reference point for people to reach out to. But your point is a very good one about what are the preparation events this year. and yet to be determined. But just as last year, there was an incredible body of work done that many of you were involved in, and around the national preparatory sessions, we're exploring at the moment whether there'd be potential to do kind of national progress sessions. So in advance of the 1 year anniversary mark, where we hope to have had updates from all of the member states that made pledges, is it possible to support them to host national progress sessions kind of a quarter before that anniversary, so that we can really highlight those that have made exceptional progress, those that are struggling on particular grounds, and we can kind of paint a more realistic picture of what's been achieved. So there are thoughts underway at the moment in terms of what it will look like to support member states and encourage member states to deliver on those pledges that they made. And frankly, not just member states, you know, lots of donors and others also made pledges. So it's important that they're also part of that accountability mix. Did that answer your questions, Abiwe?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks, Ella.
Perfect. Great. Sarah at Restless, and then Pragati.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Hi, everyone. So I'm keen to know whether we are utilizing some of the photos from the exhibition at the ministerial conference. I mean, some of them that were super, super great for the website. They would be really super powerful to be showcased there. Thank you.
Such a great idea, Sarah. Yeah, can you send them to us in a way that we can share them with the web developer, and maybe send them to Cassia, and then we can maybe we'll have a gallery. Yeah, Cassia, we're going to do that. That's a really good idea. Thanks, Sarah.
Perfect. Pragati and Juliet.
Sorry, I think I may be already sharing my screen. I was going to ask you if I could, but this quick update also to the initial comment about country accountability. I think first of all, thank you for the great coordination and organization of this. It's looking really great. I think the key part that I also am focused on is that country learning and accountability so that they truly advance. I think all of us want that to see that happen. I mean, bringing together everyone around these key pillars. Is this what the dashboard first question is going to be coordinated around, Sabine? That is the point, right? About how countries advance in their system strengthening key pillars of activity. Okay, so then, you know, I'm starting to conceptualize this a little bit more with my team. And so I wanted to just share also then that, you know, how we see this flowing is then at the regional level, how governments will come together as well to create additional communities of learning. I think this is how Pablo has started to convene some of the regions, and I'm guessing UNICEF and World Health in their work plans are also working around the same pillars of action within their country level or regional offices. But, you know, ultimately what I see is that at the country level, how things really change is in between our ministerial conferences and our Rise Up policy forums, that these inter-country bodies are even more coordinated so that we really do drive change. But this is something I wanted to share with the group after this meeting and get input on, because again, as I said in the last meeting, we want to co-create these Rise Up policy forums so that they're effective and useful. So if that's okay, Sabine, when we're developing things like this, is it possible for me to have the group react to some of this and provide input and comments so that we can co-create these things to be as effective as possible? Because I do see obviously all the key partners here, and I believe there are country level people as well, correct, on this?
Yeah,
strategy?
Pragati,
Okay.
sorry to interrupt you, Pragati, but could you just go put your slide on big, because I think people are asking if they can see it. And that's one question. And secondly, I think it's a good idea, Pragati, if we can maybe have our next session focus on this country level work, basically the action accountability and advocacy part, and then we could have the one after on accountability and the one after that on advocacy. So I think that's a good idea.
Okay. And sorry, I didn't mean to take over this piece of it, but this would be very helpful to get input. You know, I'm just starting to brainstorm this with my team, and I have a policy person now that I brought on that will start to take this over. But this is at the country level. You know, what we're hoping is to bring together the practitioners, the researchers, these agencies delivering services, you know, the in-country INGOs like, I don't know, what is this red thing? Sorry. Let me go backwards. So the in-country NGOs like UNICEF, Save, Plan, the big ones that are in country, they should be coordinating with the children who are, the voices of the children who have come through the system. And what are we trying to see as the wins, with implementing those national action plans to drive government investments, all of these things I would love to get input on to see, are we capturing the things that we want to see as real milestones of progress. And that's at the granular level. At the regional level, the same Rise Up policy forums. It's really about bringing governments together. With pathfinding countries perhaps leading this. And again, I need to talk to Pablo and all of you about this, but this is how I'm seeing like where leadership starts to drive change, but also brings along all the other governments that are still looking to do something, but not quite sure how to get there. And they can also align around cultural practices, thematic issues, develop language-specific things, work on things that are cross-border, so that we're better, about sharing data, et cetera. So this is the one that we're launching this year at the international level, and I really would love to get the input. So I'll share this updated slide deck with everyone as we move forward. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Pragati, and never apologise. That's exactly what this call is for. We want to hear of all the phenomenal strategic efforts that are underway. So thanks so much for sharing that. Juliet?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. So it's been such an interesting conversation, and I just want to say a big well done to everyone that has been, putting the work to looking at what the website looks like, and of course the conversations we are having. But still looking at majorly in-country progresses, and of course accountability, talking about the conversations we've been having. I just wanted to know how I do know that, of course, the INGOs are at the top, leading the organization, but I'm looking at how all those other NGOs around can feed into the conversation. For some countries, you can see that the regular NGOs have a lot of influence on the government. Not let me don't put it that way, but the kind of support the government when it comes to working around most of these issues. There are local coalitions and a whole all that. So I'm just trying to see. I saw some of the diagrams and of course how it works, but it will really be great to see how other organizations at the bottom, can really join, efforts to get to the top. Yeah.
Can I just answer that one, Helen? Julia, thank you so much for raising this. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I'm afraid the UN is getting slightly more irrelevant right now. We're not allowed to travel and not allowed to hold meetings. So more than ever, we'll be counting on the government leadership and the CSOs. However, there's no cookie cutter approach. Every single country is going to be different. Kenya is going to be so different from Uganda, different from Rwanda, Thailand, different from Cambodia. So it's really going to be on a case by case basis. Most countries have a multi-sectoral working group, so that one needs to be maintained. And having that multi-sectoral working group, either that works hand in hand with the government or that feeds into the government. Okay. In the Middle East, you probably, and Hala can confirm, you probably wouldn't have a CSO group that's part of the government, but there'd be two separate bodies. Whereas in many African countries, it fits quite nicely, actually. The government works hand in hand with the CSOs. So I think we're really encouraging you to think, are the right people at the table in these multi-sectoral working groups? Who's missing? Are the right ministerial sectors represented? Health, education, justice, social services, finance. Are the right partners represented? Looking at the pledge, is the parenting space, school-based interventions, response services, and then what can we and then also, of course, are children, young people, and survivors represented? And then how can we intentionally jointly make a plan for, let's say, Uganda or Tanzania to implement their pledge? So I think the key word of this is more intentionality rather than this kind of everybody just running around as headless chickens, but thinking, okay, now we're working with the government. This is the ones that are missing, and this is the plan that we need to make to move the pledges forward. And we can support in any way we can. And I'm talking, I think, on behalf of UNICEF, WHO, and SRSG's office, probably UNESCO and UNODC as well. But I think you guys will be the motor behind this.
Sudan enters its second year.
Thank you so much.
Government's association with a rapid.
Thanks so much, Juliet. Great question and phenomenal response as ever, Sabine. It's interesting you mentioned Kenya. My understanding is actually today through Wednesday, they've got a national level session to look at exactly how they will look at delivering and kind of programming for the pledge made in Bogota. So each country will be undertaking their own efforts. We just need to make sure we're as co-joined as possible where we can be. So let's pass the baton over from us to you guys. Sarah at Restless, I think you've got an update from us in terms of some of the work that's happening in Uganda.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hi once again. So for Restless Development, last month, the month of March, we had an honor to visit our neighbor, AfriChild. So AfriChild is new in the area. I mean, in where our office is located. So when they came, of course, we first had, online interactions, engagements, but somehow were like, we need to visit and have an interaction, like a physical interaction with our neighbor. And that was the moment. So we got on and we visited them. And key to the discussion between Restless Development and AfriChild, because Restless Development does coordinate the youth-led movement on ending violence against children, but AfriChild, its core is around generating high quality research and data around children, and looking at different disciplines. So while in the meeting, we discussed how best we can use research, how can we utilize research across Africa to inform EVAC work that we are leading with the youth mobilizers on ending violence against children. So we drew different plans and key actions on how we move forward. And one of the key things that we put together is developing an expansion plan of Restless Development Uganda, but also the kind of work that we can do beyond Uganda into the other countries. But also AfriChild, interestingly, has an expansion plan. So they also want to see that, yes, they are generating this research, but using it far and, beyond Uganda, but also the other countries of Africa. So that's something that I must say that it's just in a cooking state. And we believe that at some point it will yield results on using research to inform the work across Africa. But also, if you all came to know that Uganda hosted this month, Uganda hosted the Africa Regional Forum on sustainable development. So it was amazing to see different actors, organizing, putting together a few sessions, see that they're having discussions largely around sustainable development. However, we were part of a side event, really that was much focused on no women left behind or no woman left behind. And within this side event, there are very many discussions, but key to note, there was really a focus on sexual gender-based violence and how different actors within Africa, need to come together to see that sexual violence against women, but most importantly against children, who are the girls, to see that it's eliminated within Africa and beyond. So that happened at a very, very high level event, and discussions are still ongoing within the country. But also something that's going to happen within this week, really much coordinated by World Vision. There will be a discussion on current investments on ending violence against women, but most importantly, children. So this is something that we'll be a part of, we'll be discussing, but also we have key actors, especially government officials in the room. And something that I've been in discussion with the youth mobilizer is to start having discussions of what government committed in Bogota, and the discussion that is going to happen on Wednesday around around investment, but also ending violence against children in Uganda. That's a bit of update. Thank you. Back to you.
Thanks so much, Sarah. Thanks for the updates. And actually, I think really encouraging to hear that at continent-wide level, there are discussions around really thinking smartly about the intersections between violence against women and girls and violence against children. We definitely heard that from folks that were at the Skull Forum last week in Oxford or the week prior, that actually there are much more considered conversations happening there. And of course, we know the intersections, the data, and trends speak strongly to that. But I think there's much more we could be doing to really kind of tease out that space, particularly in the current environment where governments are having to think extra hard about the kind of political and fiscal space they're in. Over to Bess now for a positive word. Oh, Sabine, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say on Cambodia, because I know we had it in the agenda. So we just heard Uganda, and we were hoping that the Cambodian government would be able to give a quick update, but unfortunately we weren't able to get hold of them. But I just wanted to encourage people, because I was so glad to hear that Cambodia have shared the report of the pledge and of Bogota with their prime minister. They've shared it with 50 development partners in Cambodia and to all the relevant line ministries. And they're using it now to develop their 2020-2030 National Action Plan, or the next action, the one that's adopted mid-2025. They'll be using the pledge to update the National Action Plan. So I just wanted to say that it's really great, and huge thanks to UNICEF, obviously to government, but to UNICEF and WHO country offices for moving that forward. And it's encouraging to see that it's landing so well in some countries and being taken forward. Sorry, over to you, Helen. Back to Bess.
Thanks, Sabine. Actually, I think Saba you've got your hand up, and then we'll head over to Bess. Saba, over to you. No? Okay, we'll come back to you, Saba. I think you've unmuted, but we can't hear you. Okay, we'll come back to you. Bess, if you're ready. I know you've got some positive updates on corporal punishment that you're willing and able to share.
Yeah, lovely to see you all, colleagues. Yes, in these challenging times, it's great to have some really positive news, also to hear about all the positive developments kind of happening, implementing the work at country level. But yes, I'm very happy to bring you some exciting news about Thailand, and maybe you've already heard. So on March the 25th, Thailand became the 68th state to prohibit all corporal punishment of children. And I'm sure, as you know, this is a kind of really fundamental reform for children. It just communicates in law that no level of violence against children is acceptable. I've shared in the chat our news blog, and the development was also covered in lots of local and regional news outlets. The amendment was made to the Civil and Commercial Code, and previously the code included a provision that allowed parents to discipline their children and punish them, and the amended provision clarifies that any punishment cannot be abusive or violent to body or mind of child. And then the law included some kind of justifications which really clarified that no level of corporal punishment is lawful. In terms of putting the law into effect, the Deputy Prime Minister has directed the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security to implement the law, for all the government departments, including the police, to work together. And there have been some specific recommendations made by a special subcommittee in terms of ensuring that the law has as maximum impact. Thailand has a National Child Protection Action Plan 23 to 27, and that already includes some measures around supporting and empowering families to move away from physical discipline. And obviously we hope that the law is put into effect in the most to the maximum extent and communicated widely to the kind of whole population. So huge congratulations to the government of Thailand and to the many organisations that worked for this reform for many years, probably over 20 years. Most recently, the Child Rights Coalition of Thailand, including Childline, the Gabfai Community Theatre, lots of organisations really working hard on this. Save the Children have been a really long-term supporter and champion of this issue in Thailand. And then UNICEF Thailand have played a really key role in working with the government to draft the legislation and to put it into effect. So really great news. And then I'm also really happy to report that it sounds like the Czech Republic is also hopefully in the final stages of also passing legislation that prohibits corporal punishment. So that would be the 69th state. And it's just great to see this kind of ongoing momentum, this ongoing recognition that we can and we will end accepted violence against children. And then I just wanted to also encourage everybody to engage with the International Day to End Corporal Punishment, which is on the 30th of April. And this is a great chance for you to publish an article, request a meeting with a minister, hold a webinar, at the very least, put something on social media communicating your position on ending corporal punishment. This is such a fundamental issue for children and a fundamental issue in terms of ending normalised and accepted violence against children. So I hope you can engage with that. And I will put a link to the advocacy pack in the chat. And so it just makes it easy for everybody to get involved.
Thank you so much, Bess. That is a phenomenally encouraging report back on progress in Thailand, and great also to hear about the Czech Republic. Those of you that have sharp memories and eagle eyes will remember that the Czech Republic were one of the 8 governments at the ministerial conference that made the pledge to prohibit corporal punishment. So it's really fantastic to see that continuing to move with pace. John, I see your hands up.
Thank you. Thanks very much. It really good news, Bess, and really does highlight the such importance of the End Corporal Punishment organization and partnership. And so, you know, with it being mentioned in various circles and on the sidelines in Bogota about the tenuous situation that end corporal punishment has in terms of its ongoing future due to funding. I was curious if you could give us all an update on where that's up to. What, you know, have there been any lifelines? Because I think that's something that everyone would be eager to hear about. Thanks.
Bessie,
thorough.
I don't know if she is actually.
Maybe I'll just jump in to answer John's question. Basically, we were not able to right now continue the funding for the 2 consultants, Sonia and Bess, who were managing the corporal punishment work. So they had their last day last week. The website is still alive. We're hoping that it's basically on a, what is it? On a pulse.
Hiatus.
Well, not a pause, on a pulse, I would say. We were trying to make sure that they obviously they can't work on it because they're not being paid to do it. But we potentially UNESCO has a bit of funds to keep one of them on, and we do hope that we'll find funding as quickly as possible to bring the both of them back on, because Sonia has much more of a legalistic background and Bess has much more of an advocacy comms background, and so. Yeah, that's where it stands, John. Back to you, Helen. I think we have to go on with the agenda, Helen.
Yeah, we do indeed. But just to say, there is mounting political support around corporal punishment and as an international effort rather than as an individual member state effort. So just to flag, there will in the coming month be a launch of a WHO technical product that makes the public health case for ending corporal punishment. There will also be a side event at the World Health Assembly for the first time on ending corporal punishment, which will be co-sponsored by the governments of Costa Rica and Kenya, who are leading the international charge through World Health Assembly and through the Human Rights Council. That is co-sponsored by ourselves and Save the Children, who are long-time advocates for the agenda. And we are very hopeful, and all the signs are very encouraging, that despite the kind of challenging context, there will be a push for a first ever WHO resolution on corporal punishment this year. So there is significant momentum on this issue, and we're so thankful to those that have done all that phenomenal foundational effort to bring us to this point. We'll move on. There's much to discuss. Rajiv, if you're on the line, I think you're going to give us a whistle-stop tour of a campaign that you're launching this week. Perfect. You're sharing your screen. Great. Thanks, Rajiv. Over to you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Helen and Sabine. To all of you, my name is Rajiv, and I work with Family for Every Child, a global alliance of 51 locally rooted organizations across 39 countries. And it's a real honor to be with you today, especially in these challenging times, where these kind of joint collaborative efforts makes more sense. And where and also knowing that all of you are have spent years challenging injustices and standing alongside children, survivors of violence, all children, in fact. But today I'm going to invite you into a growing and collective effort. Hold on, just a right. So a collective effort that complements our shared vision and strengthens the efforts that we have been making towards gender justice. That's our shared mission. And this is the Blue Umbrella Day campaign, or BUD that we call, which is celebrated every year on 16th of April to raise awareness and drive action to prevent sexual violence against boys, an issue that for too long has remained hidden in the plain sight. This story actually started in 2017 during one of our members' meetings, and we were discussing about the future plans, and a question was asked, what about boys? And that began a quest, an exploration of this issue. And then we did a global scoping study called Caring for Boys, and then also did 7 national level researches. And all of those recommended towards greater awareness, creating greater awareness. And that's how this Blue Umbrella Day campaign was conceptualized. In that process, we also found that this issue is still there. Although there is a limited number of data, our research and also evidences from UNICEF and others confirms that boys do experience sexual violence, but harmful social norms, stigma, silence them to make their suffering more, and they often lack access to support systems that we have worked so hard to build. So this campaign started in 2021 and was launched in 5 countries. And in 2024, last year, it has grown into a powerful movement spanning across 60 organizations in 37 countries, reaching millions of people, including many of you in this very space, probably. Right. So in this year, this campaign, we are taking a bold step forward. And we are working to get United Nations to officially recognize of April 16th as International Blue Umbrella Day, a global day of action to protect boys from sexual violence. And to make this happen, we have launched a global signature campaign with the goal of collecting 100,000 signatures across the world. And we need your help to go there. This campaign is about raising awareness, breaking harmful norms, challenging silences that surrounds boys' experiences. And by supporting this campaign, you are also helping to drive research and policy change in a more inclusive manner. We are standing for the world where every child, all children, it's not just boy or girl or gender diverse, is seen, protected, and being heard. We are also proud to share that this campaign has already received support from UN Special Rapporteur, as well as many members of UN Committee of CRC, UNCRC.
Thank you, Rajiv.
So, yes,
I'm so sorry to cut you short, Rajiv. I'm just conscious we have a couple more items to get through, but I can see in the chat that lots of colleagues are saying, do you have a social media pack that you could share? I don't know whether you're able to put any information and links into the chat facility. I'm sure there are lots of folks that would be willing and able to kind of support your efforts around the campaign day.
Sure. We do have, and my colleague Nuria, she is going to put those links in the chat also. So that's the last slide I was going to put in. Basically this call to action. So you can sign the petition, you can share it with your networks. You can have a participation pack or campaign pack available in 4 languages, which you can use to promote and share this campaign across your networks too. Yeah. Thank you, Sabine, and thank you, Helen.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Rajiv. And I know you've been an active and ardent campaigner on this issue and many other related issues in recent years. So we're really thankful for all your efforts and great to hear about the campaign. So yeah, keep us posted on progress. Thanks so much. We'll move now. I haven't seen Pablo on the call, but if you are on the call, Pablo, oh, you're here? Fabulous. So Pablo, over to you for a bit of a readout from the Pathfinders Euro meeting, which I believe happened last week.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone, Sabine and colleagues, for inviting to this meeting. So last week, actually a week and a half ago, we had the first of the series of meetings we are having with the pathfinding countries by region, as they are moving ahead with the finalization of their roadmaps and what will be the representation in the different pathfinding mechanism within the structure of the new pathfinding global alliance. So the meeting was attended by all the 9 European countries. We had a meeting that it was divided in 2 segments. One was first with technical focal points that they were actually attending the meeting in the Council of Europe for the midterm review of the Rights of the Child strategy. And we had a very good discussion regarding what are the priorities of the countries moving ahead with the pathfinding obligations that they would like to, what are the 4 or 5 actions that they would like to achieve from now until 2030 within the alliance. And then we had a second session, which was with the ministers from these countries, reiterating and reconfirming, what is it going to be these priorities that their technical staff has been presented. It was a very good opportunity because many of them were sharing information, and so it was more a dialogue between these countries, building on each other's experience on things that they are working and others that they are not working regarding some of the areas in which they are focusing. So that was very, very appreciative, and we will be there were some countries who have already expressed their interest in taking a more active role within the structure. So it was very, very, very informative. So the next meeting will be in Nigeria, Abuja, where we are going to have the meeting with the 14 countries in Africa. Where they're going to similarly will be discussing where they are in the preparations of the roadmaps and similar format. It's going to be a little bit longer rather than half a day. It's going to be 2 days and a half because they are going to, having more regional organizations that they are supporting, civil societies, and other larger kind of spectrum. And we are working, we are waiting for confirmation of the dates for the Americas meeting and the Asia Pacific meeting. We have given the green light, but it's more about the ministers' level participation. So we continue ahead with the process and the same for the knowledge market. And I think that thanks for the update of the new website, Sabine and colleagues. And I think it will be very important, as the colleague has been saying, because all the pathfinding countries are putting their priorities, which are priorities in Bogota as part of their roadmaps. So we will be following within the marketplace. So it will be important to ensure that everything is connected. So we will be working on that as we move on along. We had a very good meeting on the preparation of this knowledge market that is being developed. And we have colleagues already that they are connected in form on this movement, but it's the procurement process that is working on. So yeah, this is what we are, very interesting and very encouraging. Over to you.
Thanks so much for that readout, Pablo. And at some point, really useful to know if there are ways that colleagues can contribute to those meetings or get a readout from those meetings, just to get a sense of, which actions governments are prioritizing. But I understand some of it is very much closed door, but if there is an ability to kind of feed in prior or get a readout post, it would be really useful, I'm sure. But Sabine, I see, has captured the screen with a creative curveball exercise. So I'm going to hand over to you, Sabine, for the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, we just have 4 minutes left. And Pablo, thanks for the really useful update, and all colleagues. I mean, it's so exciting to hear everything that you guys are doing. To be very honest, here in Geneva, it's a little bit grim. Here at WHO, it's grimmer than grim. So these moments every 6 weeks are just such a source of energy and excitement to hear from you all what you're doing. And hopefully we can continue to support you as much as possible. Just before I forget, the next town hall meeting will take place on the 26th of May. So you'll be getting that invitation into your calendar. And again, a reminder at the beginning, I mentioned, please send us your news items and your events that we'll be adding to the website. The events that Pablo mentioned will also be on the website. Some will be open meetings, some will be closed meetings, but we'll make sure to ensure transparency and coordination that most of them will be up there. So now we have 3 minutes left. We did this exercise a few weeks ago with a bunch of partners. What is your crazy curveball idea for 2025? What is something that you really think that we should be doing? If I can ask you just to take your phone and look at the, what is it called? Screen capture, screen grab that QR code and just pop in what you think. Be wild. What do you think we should be doing? Should it be more op-eds? Should it be a meeting? Is there somebody famous that we should be bringing in? Should we be doing exchange visits? I mean, you name it. I see 3 participants are typing. I imagine that 88 participants should be typing. So just go for it. Be crazy. It's anonymous. But not only because Helen and I want your inspiration, but as a community, I think we need to keep thinking out of the box. And these are not things that we're going to be delivering on, but that we hope that you be delivering on yourself, or that maybe collectively we can deliver on. So I'm just going to give you, it's open for another 60 seconds. So yeah, there you go. And we are actually collecting these ideas because we'll see how we can move in terms of their implementation, again, either as WHO, UNICEF, and SRSG, or as a community together, or a group of partners together. Creative events, the documentary, strategic litigation. That's an interesting one. If somebody wants to speak up about that one, I'm very curious. I'd have to otherwise put it in GPT to understand it. A Senate hearing.
Just so you know, we can't see yet on the screen. I don't know if it's due to populate it onto this main screen, so we can't see that yet.
Okay.
But there's some great ideas, and love the strategic litigation. Shall I read them out, Sabine, in case they don't come up on the screen, or folks can maybe see them? Real life role plays, transparency for funders to be open about what they're supporting in this space and where they can lean in to help. Survivor Global webinar, child-led action to push for financing for development conference in Spain, creative campaigns engaging artists, strategic litigation, documentaries, a Senate hearing on preventing VAC, identifying a proper group of political champions for a group of countries, 3 high-level spokespeople for EVAC who can make a compelling case for investments during key moments, yes. UNGA to continue advocacy collaboration with partners, youth ambassadors, humanitarian architecture. So just within 3 minutes, a phenomenal series of suggestions. But I suspect, Sabine, the idea behind this is really to encourage us in unprecedented times to think outside of the box. So we need all of our data, all of our evidence, our most honed advocacy arguments, but we also really need to think about what it is that will kind of have public salience and make the most compelling case and rupture the status quo in a way that affords more investment for ending violence against children. Shall we try and capture some of those and we can feed them back?
Sorry, Helen,
Oh.
I saw my Teams just went just turned
You're
off.
fine. I think we've run through a few of them.
Can you see them?
We can now, yeah, we can.
Okay. So these are all super good ideas.
And within
real
3
life
minutes.
role
So.
plays. I think we're going to, if you have any more of these ideas that you would like to share with us, and it doesn't mean again that we're going to do it, but that you want to do, or that you'd like us to bring a few actors together around to do, please let us know.
Yeah. So thanks so much, Sabine, for leading that little exercise to get our brain cells working in different ways. Thank you so much for everyone that's joined the call today. It's amazing. I see numbers dropping off now, but we had over 100 people on the call today, which is just really fantastic and means the world. As Sabine said, the next call will be the 26th of May. Same time, we'll send an invitation across. And if you'd like to share or have any agenda points for that call, just let us know and we can add them. Thanks so much, everyone. Speak soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.